Hi everyone, and welcome back to our next lecture, lecture 9. Then now, in lecture 9 we'll be emphasizing functions. Our topic is functions. One of the tricky, not to say difficult, but one of the tricky way of programming using functions. Alright, so now I introduce you guys functions. Okay, then as always I made a notepad here for you guys with a bunch of notes that are very helpful, and then we'll go through all these notes in fewer minutes then before we can even go and program. Alright, functions, function call and function headers. Whenever we talk about function, we talk about function calls and function headers. Alright, and then now we'll go to see the communication. How is the communication between a function call and a function header? Okay, alright, two types of function calls and function headers. Number one, a receiving types. For function calls, we're having a receiving type of a function call and together with a returning type for the function header. So we're having a receiving type of a function on a function call and a returning type on a function header. I suppose you guys now get the idea. This is a receiving, this is returning, and what is returning is a header. A header function is going to return something to a calling function or a function call. Alright, so this is going to receive what this is returning. Alright, then we're having a non-receiving type for function calls and non-returning type for function headers. So now here what you guys can quickly spot is that the inside function calls you'll either receive or not receive, and whereas in the header function is either returning or not returning. Alright, and then the association is that if you are to return something, there must be something to receive. If you are not returning something, then it must be seen that there's nothing to be received. Alright, so those are the two types, and then I have them in association. I have a function called this side, a function header this side. So as I'm explaining for you guys, the left hand side and the right hand side for both 1 and 2. Alright, now describing a receiving function call and a returning function header. So I'm describing the first one I'm describing it. Okay, now as we describe it now, a receiving function call is a variable name assigned to the function. This is very important. Has a variable name assigned to a function. That's when we can quickly say this is a receiving type of a function. Alright, now here I have it here for you guys. You'll have a variable name. Assume you're in a main function, you're having so many variables, and then you just take one and then you write the name of that variable here, and then you write as the assignment operator, and then now you write the function name together with the list of arguments. Remember, it might be many arguments, might be 1, 2, 3, might be many. Alright, list of arguments, and then below I'm going to explain to you what are arguments here. So you'll have the function name here, and then you open the brackets, and then a function is always like that. It always carries a function call always carries arguments. Even if you can have 0 arguments in here, it will still be correct. Alright, let me emphasize, it can be like a variable name here, and then assigned to function name. Sorry about that. Function name. If you have it like this with 0 argument, it will still work. It will still work, guys. Don't get confused that you are always expecting to pass something to the header. This function call here, actually the function call start here and finish here. It then simply means that we are passing 0 argument to nothing. We're not passing any argument to our header. All right, assume there is a header somewhere there, because this is a communication between a function call and a function header. So this one means we are passing nothing, but then this one means you are passing arguments. It might be one argument or be many arguments, right, to your function header. All right, now function name can be any chosen name. Just emphasizing here, since I said function name can be any chosen name. Maybe you might say my function is for concatenation, my function is for addition, my function is for subtraction, my function is for display, my function is for any name of the function. All right, and then argument is or are always found on a function call. Whenever we're talking about function calls, you know that within the brackets of the function call you're having arguments. That's where you will always find arguments. All right, and then we're having two types of argument. That is a reference argument, where we call by a variable name inside the function call. Where actually, when I say where we call by variable name, I simply means inside our function here, we're going to write a variable name. All right, let's see, e.g. assume you're in a main function, you're having a declaration int I, and then you terminate it, and then int p. These are both declaration without initialization, both of them, if you still remember that. This is the declaration of an integer variable named I without declaration, and declaration of without initialization here, and this is the declaration of integer p without an initialization. So now here, what follows next? I said this is a variable name. P is what? A variable name. And remember I said here, variable name assigned to product, and then I open the brackets of the product, then I close it, and then within the product I have what? I have I. Remember, I was declared here, so it then means now here I'm passing what? I. This is my argument. My argument is I. My argument is a variable I. It then means I'm passing variable I. All right, but then here I said you can write it and then pass nothing. It then means now our I here is our argument. Looking into this one, so it then means it can be seen as I've said below here, it can be seen that product is the name of our function and I is our argument. It can be seen from here. This is the name of our function, and then this is our argument, and then our function call. Always, guys, remember, function call you'll always have to terminate because it's a statement. Most of the time they always say a calling statement, so that's the same as I said function call. So sometimes they say calling statement, so that's why you have to terminate it. It's a statement. All right, so now I said p is assigned to product I, right? Product taking argument I. All right, it then means now this is of a receiving type. When we receive, whatever the function is going to receive is going to be assigned to what? P, meaning it's going to be stored in our storage reference P. Remember the idea of the variables, what are they for? They're just storage reference. So whatever the function header is going to return, remember the one that is returned is a function header. A function header for product, whatever that is going to return is going to be, if we want to see that, we can call P, we can ask P, the reference P is going to be stored inside reference storage P. All right, remember I was emphasizing a reference type parameter. A reference type parameter, it will be, we'll just write the variable name just like that, and then now and a value. We are in having another one type of parameter of an argument. Sorry, oh my god, let me cool down, let me calm down. All right, I was emphasizing the argument, type of argument, a reference type argument here, which is I, which was a variable that was declared here. Then now I'm going to emphasize a value type argument, where we call by a value inside the function call. So it can be like this. Within the function call, when we are calling, we're just writing a value. It can be any value. I just chose 2 here. All right, because now look, assume there was a declaration of an integer p. So it then means now, if I, like I said here, p is assigned to a function named what? Product, and then I'm passing 2. Remember, this 2 is what? I'm passing this 2 is an argument. What type of an argument? Is a value. So I'm writing an actual value. But then on the previous one, I was not writing an actual value. Assume maybe I was not having a value like here we're not having value for I. That's why I just wrote I. Then I'm just passing the reference. So I'm passing the storage reference, but then here I'm passing a value. Alright, and remember it's still what? A receiving type, because you have P assigned to something. Once you see this assignment operator to a function, we don't know that that is a receiving type because of the assignment. Whatever the function is going to receive is going to be stored in our reference storage P. Alright, and then now on the next one we are emphasizing, let's see, a returning function header can be described as follows. Remember, I was emphasizing a receiving function call, and then remember a receiving function call, it will work the same with it work in association with a returning type of function call. Alright, so if I'm having a returning function call like this, and then a good function header for it then means it has to be a function header that is returning, because this is waiting to receive something. Alright, so now let's see how it's explained. The function header is explained. You'll have a data type. How actually this is how you are structuring it, how you're writing it down. You're going to have a data type here. You guys know what are data types, and then I'm going to remind you. And then you'll have a function name, and then you'll have your parameter. Here now, because we are dealing with the header, we're no longer talking about arguments, but we're talking about parameter, list of parameters. And remember, it can be the same as the one on top. You can, or let me just say, or you can have the data type. You can have a data type, and then the function name, and you can have a zero parameter. It will still work. Meaning, when I say zero parameter, guys, please don't write zero there. I'm just saying no parameter or no argument. When I'm saying zero argument, zero parameter, I mean no argument or no parameter. Alright, so data types. Okay, now here I'm reminding you guys, data type can be any of the data types we have. Alright, it can be any of the data type we have. That, e.g., we are having integer, float, and then character, and string, and boolean, and or double. So it then means we can have it here. You can have either double, and then you write the function name. Right? You can have int, and then you write the function name, and yeah. And then the data type that is used on the function header. This is very important now. The data type that is used on the function header specify the type of the data to be returned to the function call. Remember the idea here, we are returning, because this is a returning function. So the data type that is used on the function header, assume here maybe we have an integer, it specifies the type of data that we are going to return to the function call, because it is initially we are calling a function. Alright, so because now our function header has a type here, a data type here, that data type specifies the kind of a data that is going to be returned. So if it was an integer here, we know that we are going to return to that function call that called us initially. We are going to return an integer value. Alright, so now next we're having two types of parameters, same as we're having two types of arguments. They're still the same. Two types of parameters. We're having a reference parameter, e.g., we can have, assume your function, assume this is your function, right? On example, assume this is your function. We're going to have the data type of function is an integer, meaning we are returning what type of data? We are returning an integer. This is a returning, and then what kind of a data we're returning? An integer. The name of the function is a product. All right. The name of the function is a product. And then now, these are what? These are, or let me say this is a parameter. Remember, we might have many, we might have more than one, we might have zero, we might have more than one. Alright? Then I set int, and then you see, actually here we're having what? Int parameter is like a temporary declaration. Alright? So don't get confused. It's int, then we're having a. But before we're having a, we're having this thing called ampersand. This is called ampersand. Alright, now remember we're emphasizing the reference type. So once we see this ampersand between the data type and the variable name on our parameter, we know that what kind of a parameter is that? That's a reference type parameter. A reference type parameter. Alright, we'll explain that later as we continue. Get to know the idea why we need reference type parameter, why we might just use the other apart from the other. Alright, okay, it can be seen that we are to return an integer data type. I've just said that. Looking into the definition of the function, which is an int. Alright, the name of the function is what? Product. You see the name? So we are having what? 1, 2, 3 things. Number 1 is the returning type, which is the definition. Number 2 is the name of the function, which is product. Then now let's go to and the parameter. What is the parameter? Well, parameter is what is between the brackets of our function. Int a, but is of a reference type because of the ampersand. The parameter has an ampersand which specifies that is a reference type parameter. So I've explained the reference type of parameter. Alright, and then this reference type parameter, it will work in association with a reference type argument. A reference type argument. Whenever I see this, the argument for it is what? Is a reference. Alright, now let's go and see. And a value type parameter, e.g. you might have the definition is what? An integer, and then you have what? The name of function is product, and then just have int a. There is no ampersand between the data type and the variable name on our parameter. It then means once we don't see this ampersand in between, we know that this is a value. This is a value parameter because there is no ampersand. Alright, it can be seen that there is no ampersand on our parameter, then we conclude that this is a value type. Alright, this is a value type. Right, a value type what? Parameter or parameter. And then now, important things to note, guys, before we go into coding. Alright, function name has to be the same in both function call and function header. Function name has to be the same in both the function call and the function name and function header. Sorry, the function name has to be the same for function call and a function header. That's how we're going to be able to have the communication that I emphasize on top. That's how important things for you to have that communication between the function call and the function header. Alright, the name has to be the same. The name has to be the same for a call and a header. Assume on our previously explained, I have a product here. It then means I must have a product here also. So the function name is correct. What's next? The number of arguments must be equals to the number of parameters. Number of arguments must be equals to the number of parameter. So number of arguments, I'm looking into a function call. Number of arguments here is saving what? How many number of arguments in counting? When we are counting them, they're just what? We just see one here. This is the argument, a value type argument, which is just one. It then means a good and a correct function header for it is going to be having how many parameters? One parameter. And what type of a parameter? A value type parameter, like this, because this is a value type argument. Alright, but then if I was having this type, this is one. Yeah, we're going to first check, okay, the name of the function, yes, is product. And then maybe let's come here, the name is what? Is product. And then how many parameter is one? How many argument is one? And then here, how many arguments is one? How many parameter is one? And then what type of argument? This is what? This is a reference type. And then what type of parameter? This is a reference type. It then means is the communication can take place. Perfect. The number of arguments must be equal to the number of parameters. And then one last one. The last one is a value type argument for a value type parameter. Okay, so let me read nicely. A value type argument is for what? Is for a value type parameter. Alright, and a reference type argument is for what? A reference type parameter. This is what I was just explaining. Alright, guys, so I'll quickly go into our program. Okay, let me just come here, and here we're emphasizing the returning type. Alright, so let me pause the video and then write the question here, then so that we can go and program. Alright, let's just continue with our video. Alright, let's just continue with our video, guys, without wasting any time. Let me just create an example. Okay, example. I was supposed to have this before anything. Alright, I'm sorry about that, I apologize. Okay, write a program. write a program that that takes an integer as an input and pass it to the header function. To double it and return it to main function, and display it. All right, write a program that takes an integer as input and pass it to the header function to double it and return return it to main function and display it, right? Okay, the name of the function is named double. The function named the function is named double. All right, okay. All right, guys, let's just go now, and then after you guys have read this question, this is not like a proper one, but I just quickly thought of something in my mind because I was supposed to actually prepare this for you, have a proper question, but then this is still a better one for us to go and give it a try. Okay, let's quickly go to our code block without wasting any time. Come on, code block. All right, quickly. Let's say file as. Now we know. Here we're emphasizing returning functions.cpp for C++. Remember, I explained to you guys earlier on, include, and then we include the IO stream, using namespace standard. All right, so guys, now it comes to the real world. Now then, we were always having our int main here, our old friend int main, and then so we are having our int main here, and then we always have the return 0 down there at the bottom. All right, so now on our questions, they say write a function that takes an integer as its input. That means the variable we are going to declare an integer. Let me just say integer. Let me just give the name as number, integer number. All right, and then they say it is taking an integer as input, and then now pass it to a function header to double it, and then return it to the main function. So it then means once they say talking about an input, I'm taking an integer as an input, it then means I'm having a cin, but then before the cin, remember the idea, before the cin I'll have something, I'll have this, but before the cin, before I request the user to input something, what is it that I should do first? Before that, let me address the user. Let me first address the user with a nice display message that, let me just say, we normally like to say please, so that the user can read, please enter any integer value of your choice. Any integer value of your choice. All right, any integer value of your choice. This is a nice message. Remember, before the cin, is always nice to address someone whatever the type of input that is expected from them. So that's why I have please enter what, an integer value. Oh, let me zoom it out. I'm trying to zoom it out and then I'm zooming. All right, this is nicely. So now after now here, that's where they are going to enter, and then after it they say a function is named what? A function is named, what's the name of function? Is double. So I'll then have double. Okay, let me change the function name because the double is known on our IDE here. Let me change it to double num. Function is named double num. Double num meaning double number. Actually, it's short for double number. All right, double num, and then now I'm passing it as an argument. So I'm going to have number. Remember here we're passing what? The variable here. I'm sorry. And then I'll terminate outside. But something is missing from this. This is a function call, guys. This is our function call. But something is missing from this function call because we are doing what we're emphasizing what type of a function? A returning type. You see, it's assigned to nothing here. You see, you're supposed to be assignment and then supposed to have a variable name here. So now it then means because this number I'm passing it here, it then means I have to declare another variable. Let me say int. Let me just say the doubled. Let me just say the doubled, right? You'll get the idea. Now here I'm just declaring another new integer, and then I'm saying the name of the variable is what? The doubled, to store the doubled value, right? The doubled. All right, so now this is a complete function call for a receiving function call. Remember, because it's why we say it's a receiving, we have a function, a variable name assigned to a function call. The name of the function is what? Double num, and then we're passing how many argument? One argument, which is number. All right, remember number was an input here. So now what we do next? Now because this is a function call, after this function call we go and create a function header. Function header, you go outside the main, you go on top of the main. As I've seen some of the guys going below the main, and then but I've been told that in all the books that I've been reading, actually I've seen it on top of the main function. This is a function, is a main, and then now I'm going to write a function header on top of the main function. So my name of function is what? Is double. All right, and we know that this is what type is a receiving type, and then what is the data of the variable that is receiving? Is an integer. It then means I'm returning what kind of a data? I'm returning an integer, so it's going to be an int. The name of function is what? You can go and copy down there. You can copy it. You can come and actually copy here. You can come and say copy and paste there. All right, and then I open, and then now my arguments. How many arguments do I need? I need only one argument. What type? What data type of an argument? Remember, arguments are temporary declarations, right? What type of an argument? What type of an argument? Type of an argument that I need here is just a value, an integer type argument, which is a value type, right? Int. Let me just say now, because this is a temporary declaration, I can just say number p, just to make it different. Mind you, this variable name has to be different to this variable name. All right, this variable name that we're passing has to be different to this. Okay, and remember here we terminate because this is a calling statement, but this is a header. We don't terminate, we go and open the parenthesis for it. All right, so now as you can see, this is returning an integer, and then this is an integer variable that is receiving whatever the function is returning. All right, it's assigned to the, because it's assigned to the function call. So the name of the function is function call is double num, and then the function header name is what? Double num. So it's correct. How many arguments, and how is 1? How many parameter is 1? And then what type of the argument? This is integer. And then what type of parameter is an integer? And then now in terms of the type differentiating the type of the argument, this is a value. This can be a value, or it can be a reference. Oh guys, don't get confused. This can be a value or it can be a reference. All right, so this now is what? This is, because here there is no ampersand, we conclude that this was a value parameter, because this is a value argument, because this is a value parameter. All right, remember, if it was a reference, we were supposed to see tt, but because we don't have that, now we conclude that this is a value type parameter, and then its argument on the function called the argument is value type. So now let's quickly now do whatever that was asked from us, an integer variable, and then we are passing that integer variable to a header function, and then that header function is going to return the value, the doubled value of the variable that we passed. It then means here I can say I can double it. All right, or I can simply say return, then I open the bracket, and then see the idea that when I open it always close. You see, I open and then I say number p, and then the idea of doubling, you just multiply by 2 or multiply by itself. So let me just multiply by 2, and then outside I terminate. So this is all that was required from us, guys. So as you can see here, you can have the calculation before and then now take the value and return it, or you can just do like this. Okay, I'm going to run the program now with having this kind of a syntax, and then now change it to another syntax. All right, let me just go and build, see if we have any error. It will appear here. All right, there's no error. Quickly. Okay, you see the nice message I was talking about. Please enter the integer value of your choice. All right, so let me just enter 20. Oh my god, the program was incomplete, was not complete. Remember, we're supposed to, as much as we are returning, we have to display. So here we have to display below this in the main function, because we are returning to the main function. That means we have to have a statement C out. Let me have a name message here. The doubled value is, then here now I'm going to write, because if we want to see the doubled value, which variable do we have to call? We have to call what? The double, because it's the one that is assigned to our function call. Then now here paste. All right, did it. Then I can end line also. I always like to end the line, and yeah. All right, now let's build the program, see if we're going to display this actually, and then run it. Oh sorry, I built again by mistake. And run it, and then now again I still enter 20. You see, the doubled value is what? Is 40. You see, this is the idea of the returning, guys. And then now I'm going to change here. Let me change here. Okay, and come here, and then now let me just declare an integer. Let me just say results. Let me just say results. Let me just say results, and then I come below here. I say that variable that I just declared, just results. Results is assigned to. So I'm assigning result to number p multiplied by 2. or by itself. And then now on a return, guys, I can now, because the calculation now is assigned to what is being stored inside the variable result, I can now return what? Results. I can now return results. Alright, let me build, then let me run it. Okay, let me again enter the 20. You see, it still worked correctly. So this is the idea of the function, guys. Remember, okay, because this video is going to be a very long one, so let me finish this video and then we'll carry on the next video and then explain. Now we'll be emphasizing the other one. The next topic is what? Oh my god, the next topic is non-returning type. So this was a returning type, and then in the next video we're going to emphasize the non-returning and non-receiving type. All right, okay, it's Junior. Bye guys.